this video, we are going to go over how to determine your risk tolerance. And this is a very important concept in investing, and it can make a huge difference in your investing strategy. Therefore, it is really important. And once you kind of have an idea of what is risk tolerance and what your risk tolerance is, this is something that you should definitely discuss with your financial planner when making investment decisions, coming up with investing goals and strategies. So let's jump right in. Hey everyone, this is Lauren Mack with Hacking the Rat Race, and I would love for you to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss any more videos on money, saving, and investing. So again, today we are going to talk about how to determine your risk tolerance. Before we jump in, I would just like to say that this is pulled from a lecture from my personal finance course on Udemy called The Complete and Practical Guide to Personal Finance for Beginners. I will have a link to it in the show notes below, so if you're interested, you can check it out there. And so again, we are going to go over how to determine your risk tolerance. So let's jump right in. In this lecture, we're going to be determining your risk tolerance. So you might be wondering, what is risk tolerance? And this is a very good question, and it is something that should very heavily be considered and discussed with your financial planner because it can have a huge impact on your investment strategy. So what is risk tolerance? Risk tolerance is the degree of variability in investment returns that an investor is willing to withstand in their financial planning. This is the definition from Investopedia. And again, you can think about risk tolerance when you think about, say, the stock market's just going up and up and up and up, and then suddenly it just drops off a cliff and people freak out. Some people don't freak out. Some people think that's perfectly fine, no problem, we can weather the storm, and other people want to panic sell. So that's an example of risk tolerance. So when there is variability in the market, it's going up and down and up and down, what is your ability to withstand that? And a lot of things can be tied to this, which we'll get to in a second. But just overall, it's the degree of variability and investment returns that an investor is willing to withstand in their financial planning. So we're going to take a look at this by playing a game. This is the $100,000 risk tolerance game. So in this game, we're going to pretend like I just gave you $100,000 to invest in the stock market, and you really need to consider that this is real money that I have given you to play this game. So basically, as we go through each day, you're going to determine, would you sell and take the money, or would you stay in the market and just see how it goes? So first, like I said, we have $100,000 and it's in the stock market. So with this $100,000, would you keep it in the market, or would you sell and take it and say, put it in a bank account? So each day you're going to decide if you would sell and take the money out, or if you would keep it in and see how it goes. And this is going to help determine your risk tolerance. And again, oftentimes people think they have a higher risk tolerance than they actually have. So try your best to pretend like this is real money. So day one, we have $100,000. Would you keep the money in the market, or would you sell? Okay, so now we're going to go to day two. Wow, day two, we lost 20% of our money. So now you're down to $80,000. Would you keep it in the market and see how it goes? Or would you sell because you think, well, I at least want to have 80% of my money? So just keep that in mind. Next. The next day it went up to $87,000. So if you didn't sell at $80,000, now you have $87,000. So you've regained $7,000. Would you sell here and think, oh my gosh, I just got $7,000 back, $80,000, that was a close call? Or would you keep it in the market? Okay, the next day, whoa, we went down to $53,000. So we're almost at half. Would you sell here or would you keep it in the market? All right, so now we're gonna go to the next day. We went up to 55,000, so we did gain a little bit of our money back. So here, would you keep the 55,000 and sell, or would you stay in the market and see what happens? All right. Whoa. Now we're down to $35,000. Now we're down 65%. Would you sell now to try to salvage what you have left, or would you just keep it in the market and ride it out and see what happens? All right, so let's look at the next day. Oh my gosh, we're down to $10,000. We've literally lost 90% of our investment. So again, would you sell here and salvage the last $10,000, or would you keep it in the market to see what happens over time? Okay, and the last day of the game, it started going back up. So again, as you see, the market can go down and up and down and up, and your risk tolerance is, what is your tolerance of that variability? When would you sell? Because oftentimes when people are thinking of this, when they're talking to their financial advisor, they think, oh, I have a high risk tolerance, it's okay. But then the market drops off and people get really worried and they panic sell. Again, this is something that you need to talk to your financial planner about, because there are a lot of things that should be considered when considering your risk tolerance. One thing is your retirement horizon. How far until you have to retire? So for example, if you have 40 years until you're going to retire, well, then you have time to deal with market volatility. If it drops way down, you can afford to have time on your side for it to go back up. However, if you're going to retire, say, in 5 years, and you need that money to be there, then your risk tolerance might be different than someone who has a 20-year retirement horizon. Again, your financial planner can help walk you through this and help you determine what your risk tolerance is, especially in relationship to your retirement horizon. So some people have a high risk tolerance. This might be someone who the volatility in the market does not scare them because they know over time things go down and they correct. This might also be someone, like I said, who has a long retirement horizon and has time to correct from major ups and downs in the market. The next would be a medium risk tolerance. And this might be someone who is in the middle of their retirement horizon, and maybe having risky investments makes them a little bit nervous, but they're willing to take a small risk to get higher returns. So that might be someone with a medium risk tolerance. Someone with a low risk tolerance, like I said, maybe they're going to be retiring in 5 years or 1 year or 10 years, and they need to know that that money is going to be there. Or maybe they're just someone who gets really nervous about market volatility and really scared and rather just have a very stable and maybe a slower growing investment. And maybe just a slower growing but stable investment. So that might be someone with a low risk tolerance. So what is your risk tolerance? Do you know? Have you ever considered this? Is this something that you've spoken to your financial planner about? If you aren't sure what your risk tolerance is, Beacon Capital Management has a risk tolerance survey, and they just ask a bunch of different questions, and at the end, it kind of gives you an idea of what your risk tolerance is. I will link to this risk tolerance survey in the resource section below this video, but this might be a way for you to get an idea of what your risk tolerance is. I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're interested in the full course, The Complete and Practical Guide to Personal Finance for Beginners, The link to it will be in the show notes below with a massive discount code. Also, don't forget to like this video. It literally costs nothing and it pushes it out to so many other people who also want to learn how to determine their risk tolerance. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any more videos on money, saving, and investing. Thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.